Welcome to the Drunk Linux User. I'm Len, I'm the Drunk Linux User. And I want to talk about the way I look at distributions, operating systems, if you will. When a person who has very little knowledge of computers and operating systems comes to Linux, they're already a little anxious because they've heard you've got to use the command line, you've got to use a terminal, which is along the same line. And you have to know all these things and codes and all these archaic, symbols, and it's like, getting into, I don't know what, Freemasonry or something, I don't know. But the expectation is that it's going to be a lot more difficult than it really needs to be. So, when I'm looking at a distribution, I'm looking at it from somebody who's trying to come from Linux or Mac, looking for something that's fresh and different, free, and is a choice of their own. And they don't want to have to spend an hour or two or three or days trying to figure out one problem that's affecting them. So when I'm looking at a distribution like I did with Manjaro the other day, and KDE wasn't working well with it, I spent what I consider to be a reasonable amount of time doing some research online as a new person coming to the system, which was about 45 minutes. Now that might not seem a lot to the Linux crowd. The Linux crowd is like, man, I'll tear this sucker apart and put it back together and make it right. And that is something that people will do. That is absolutely true. But I'm talking about the average person coming to Linux, and especially for the first time. And if they don't have an operating system that they're going to feel comfortable with because, oh my God, all of a sudden I can't do this. For example, I had a problem with Inkscape in Manjaro, in KDE. Now, could it have been Manjaro? Could it have been my computer? Could it have been the package that was built in the AUR for Inkscape or the community version? Because I did try both, and I still had the same problem no matter what. Was it Cosmic Rays? I have no idea. But I kept finding that problem over and over and over again every time I tried to use it. Couldn't find a great answer, but I kept seeing that people were having problems with KDE and the desktop freezing, similar to my experience. Different software that they were using, but same experience. So I took a look at Manjaro Plasma KDE, and I have a relatively new system, okay? So if I'm walking in and I'm having problems right off the bat, that's not a good experience. Now, I'm not trashing it. Like I said, Manjaro, man, they do some awesome, wonderful, great things. Same thing with Linux Mint when it came to Mate. But somebody said, did you do this? Did you do that? No, because again, as a new user, I don't want to have to sit there and try to troubleshoot something I just installed. I'm going to get to why that person that comes to Linux for the first time is expecting that in just a moment. But here's the deal. If something performs poorly right off the box, it's going to automatically leave a sour taste in your mouth, right? So if you went to Windows and you tried to launch Edge or Brave or whatever browser you want to, and the whole system would go blue screen or whatever they're doing now, black screen of death, you'd get really sick and tired of that, and you'd be looking for ways to maybe either look into getting another computer, reinstalling Windows, which is a real pain for some people. You don't know what to do, right? I'm not saying that Windows is perfect and Mac OS out of the box is perfect either. There are going to be some issues. There will always be some kind of conflict between software and whatever you're adding on to the program. So let's get to why people are just expecting that they can turn on a computer, boom, and they just start working. Well, we've gotten a little spoiled for two reasons. First reason is we have these things, and these things out of the box pretty much just work as you want. You push a button, boom, you do this, boom, send it, receive it, play with it, watch videos. The little thing just works. Now, I know it's not perfect either, But for the most part, it is that simple. Same thing with most tablets. You get an Amazon Fire, you get an iPad or something like that. That thing pretty much just works right off the bat. And the hardest part that you have to usually have to deal with is just hooking it up to your Wi-Fi. So if that's the biggest struggle you've got, you're doing pretty good. So I looked at Manjaro and I looked at Mate the other day, and I found them wanting with my setup. So as a new user, if I was really that interested in looking at KDE, for example, I do a little search. What's the best distribution for KDE? And there are several. Okay, there's Fedora, there is Manjaro does work, yes. There's Kubuntu from the Canonical group, and there is something called KDE Neon. Now, KDE Neon takes the latest long-term support version of Ubuntu and slaps the newest KDE on top of it. We're on KDE right now. We're on KDE Neon, and it's working like a champ. I went in, I did all the things that made it crash in Manjaro. Not a hiccup, not even the slightest bit of hesitation. Everything worked right out of the box. So there's something about this distribution and my computer that makes it work differently than Manjaro. What is it? I don't know. But not trashing KDE and not trashing Manjaro. Remember, Manjaro GNOME worked beautifully on this computer. I just don't like the workflow, right? Okay, so I tried something different. It's working right out of the box. It has the snap support in it. It also has Flatpaks in there, and it also has the standard ability to be able to import what they call PPA, which allows you to stay up to date with packages for things like GIMP or whatever you're using, LibreOffice maybe. So it's just a different type of system using the same kind of desktop I wanted to try. This is the latest and greatest from KDE Neon that I'm using right now, and just kind of give you some idea of what that is. We'll go down here to About System, and you can see that we're using KDE Plasma 5.23-4 frameworks, so on and so forth. I'm using the X11 system, which I was using in Manjaro as well. I do know that they are working on improving the Wayland sessions with KDE. There's still some work to be done. I'm not even going to try it right now. This works. This works very nicely, so I stick with this, okay? It's sort of like when people go to their office and they have an IT department that sets up their computer. All they do is they just maybe turn it on in the morning, log in, go to work, and maybe about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, everything starts to slow down or things, lock up. Oh, I got to restart the computer. But they're not sitting around saying, I can't stand this because I can't even operate with it. So you've got to consider what people are used to. And if somebody says, I tried that and it didn't work for me, take them at their word. If they want to learn how to fix it, help them fix it. You don't have to be the developer's end-all messenger for all bugs that come along. I'm sure there's plenty that they receive every single day. But if you don't have the time for that, this is what I'm getting at, a little windy. If you don't have time for that and you just want to just plug and play and load and go, well, you might have to find the right little niche distro for you that's going to work. So if you take a look at some of my other videos and you think, oh God, he didn't spend much time trying to figure that out, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to show you what Linux is, what it can do, and if I find something that's really good, I pass it along to you, such as KDE Neon, which is working for me. And there's a lot that you can do here with this, just as well as you can with any other distribution, especially ones that use KDE. And if you're having problems with an Arch version or Kubuntu, whatever, try it. Give it a shot. I mentioned, a little while back that there was an update coming out from a piece of software, and I went, ooh, they upgraded to Flatpaks, and I believe that's OBS Studio, by the way, which is what I'm using to record this. And I said, I have, honestly, I have no idea how to make a Flatpak. Just the other day, sort of like I'm president or something. Just the other day, I saw this article, how to create a Flatpak package. So if you are a developer or a new developer and you're trying to figure out, well, how in the world can I make a Flatpak package? I'll leave this link up there for you. I was able to understand up to a point, and then my eyes started to gloss over, and I found myself, humming Inagata Devita or something. But this is what appears to be, anyway, a really nice description on how to take your application and put it in a Flatpak. And again, Flatpaks are really nice because, like app images and snaps, I'll even include snaps, it is a program with all of its dependencies built into one package. It may not exactly dress out exactly the way you want it to, because the theme might not match up perfectly, but you can, as I mentioned in a previous video, you can try to find a theme that will work very closely with what you currently have. Well, there we go. We have talked about how I look at distributions, how I present to you KDE Neon a little bit. All I can tell you is it's running really good, and when I launch, I'm using about 700 megabytes instead of 1.2 gigabytes of RAM. I'll leave you with these words of wisdom once again. Don't drive drunk. Don't drink and drive. Don't go on Amazon, eBay, or MS Edge thinking you're going to buy the coolest stuff when you're all buzzed up, because you're probably not. Bottoms up. Later, dudes.